Warm greetings with the high 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for waiting. Thank you all so very much. As most of you know who have been following the content pertaining to Vicky White, Casey White, the fairy tale has come to an abrupt end. Casey White is now in custody, waiting to be extradited back to the great state of Alabama. And unfortunately, Vicky White succumbed to her injuries. It is alleged that she was shot in the head during this crash where they were on a high-speed chase from the U.S. Marshals. It has been alleged that she shot herself. That is what's coming out of Indiana per Mr. White. Who was the mastermind behind this escape? During this live, this will be a very comprehensive live, as I do in most of my commentary. I'm going to chop up everything pertaining to Vicky White, Casey White, who orchestrated this escape, who's the victim, who's the orchestrator. Are we talking about two complicit? We know the complicit because he was an inmate. He got out. She was the jailer. She let him out. But some people are discussing in comment sections of the news channels their different opinions of who was actually at fault. Well, they're both at fault. Can't really say one versus the other. But my commentary is basically, the story is really about Vicky because she is the one who had control of the situation. You see, he is just a random bloke. Had it not been for Vicky, you would have never known Casey White's name. You would have never known that he was a murderer, alleged murderer, that he shot up people, held people hostage, a drug addict, carjacking people. He would be just a random person, because in the end, he is a random person. And that's the point of the story. It's that before April 29th, after April 29th, you did not know anything about this man, this woman, Lauderdale Detention Facility, Sheriff Singleton. You didn't know anything about these people. And that's the point of a story, is that it takes something to get the jump off to get a person's name in the news. And that's what happened. This 5'5" Caucasian female decided to take it upon herself to fall for an inmate, talk to him over a 2-year period. He transfers back to her jurisdiction to face an upcoming trial. And before trial, she walks him out of a jail where she was the assistant director. They stay gone for over a week to only be apprehended in another state. Here's the audio call from the dispatch. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.
No, you're a vehicle pursuit. They're not currently in pursuit. I believe they're just following it. Charcoal gray Cadillac. Yep. Clear. Wait for the regional report on this. I'll be in route for Manila first. I'm clear. They're just wanting as many cars as they can in the area. We'll be in route. We got any notes on this front other than the vehicle? Negative. 3 David 5-1 called in, and all we have on there is the vehicle description. Let's try to get more information from county on that, please. Okay. And 6. I believe they said they're getting ready to run. They're on early off, so if you want to try to get more. 3051, direction of travel.
41 in front of Whirlpool.
No.
Block, we're coming up to St. George.
St. George.
Top 6 out.
6.
St. George, northbound on 41.
1 through St. George, northbound 41. Down 41, approaching St. George, top 6 are out.
Speed 70.
Approaching Petersburg, speed 70. 70 approaching Petersburg. Clear, approaching Petersburg.
Through Petersburg, northbound 41. Yeah, that was heading up high. Passing the old Ramada.
Clear, I'm passing the old Ramada. It's now passing the old Ramada, stop 6 at 57 and 41. Approaching 57.
3 Adam 6 on dispatch. Through Anchor Industries.
Going through Anchor Industries, 3 Adam 6.
Just go ahead and notify ISP. If they have a question, they can call my cell phone.
I'm clear.
Radio, clear the channel, in Anchor Industries parking lot.
Clear on in Anchor Industries parking lot. At the south side of the Anchor parking lot. East side of the parking lot heading south. I'm approaching 41.
Coming back towards Baumgart.
Clear, I'm approaching bomb.
Open area.
Clear. Baumgart.
Down. Crashed out.
Down. Crash out in an open field along Baumgart. They're calling you to 911.
We're still trying to get that vehicle.
Just want to make clear, he's still inside the vehicle. Clear, he's crashed out, still inside the vehicle. No, still going to be in the vehicle. We believe we possibly have him on 911.
One with an AMR for probably multiple AMRs, 32.
Clear on AMR, he shot himself. Any unit on this, can you give us a good location? By Baumgarten 41 in open field.
It's going to be 41 and come east on Birch.
41 east on Birch.
You're going to the 2 AMR.
2 AMR.
Volunteer fire is coming in from the north.
Division 5, 5050. Lynn, we could hear her on the line saying she had her finger on the trigger. They're going to feel off Baumgarten Birch. Shot victim. Female is still armed. Male apparently has shot himself. Female still armed. 41, then east on a Birch. Further traffic's going to be on tag 5.
One law enforcement vehicle. Got 2 patients at this moment.
Unclear. AMR was sitting 2.
You guys have your Bearcat on the way, or I can go grab ours? Perfect.
You're on dispatch.
Green Sky is available from Miracle.
Clear. Any county unit, city's asking if it's a Bearcat.
Yes.
Alright, that was clear. 50 kilos 2, they do not need a Bearcat.
Dispatch, you need to advise that they a negotiator.
Any county unit, do you need a negotiator?
Negative, we do not need a negotiator. Yeah.
Five into 5.
Still range of 5.
Can you advise any patient status?
2 patients, one is still trapped in the vehicle at this time. We have another who's stable, alert, and oriented. Who has a bullet wound graze, so it has a stable position. 6-2 about to 5. She's looking at the vehicle, guns long in her hand.
On females out of the vehicle. You said weapon in her hand?
Longer in her hand. Essentially, advise the MR if the second patient's out of the vehicle. Unresponsive at this time.
Clear.
I'm 6.
3 out of 6.
I'm still hearing some emergency vehicles. If it's medics, we can keep them running hot, but any LEOs can probably slow down.
I'm clear. Our medics clear to enter when they get there. Yeah, en route to the pursuit. Everything's closed. 7 to bomb guard.
Dispatch, I need one county or somebody to make contact with Anchor Industries to have one representative come to the scene.
I'm clear. Any unit? Medic said 2938 Ramblin' Ridge, 8 engine 1, 8 out of 80. Medic said that 2938 Ramblin' Ridge, 8 engine 81, 8 out of 80.
2-290, sounds like a good job for me. I'll take care of that.
Clear.
Can somebody let me know if we need to secure anything at the Motel 6?
If we have any units at the Motel 6,
Hold on for 1 second. I might be able to solve that one for Motel 8. Yeah, they put me on scene there. That's 41 Motel.
put you on scene at 41 Motel.
3 David 208 said he's got somebody on their way there now. Not out here in the county, it's like some car. That.
4M6, I can't copy the traffic, I'm sorry.
I'm just advising whether you could get about to county stop. Three and 6.
6.
We'll set up a media location over at Anchor off of Baumgart. I'm going to run over there first and I'll notify the sheriff.
I'm clear, we'll let everybody know who's calling in.
One standby station time.
All right, everybody. If you can make out what was said, it's kind of grainy because they stop, pause. Just 1 second, please, so I can continue with this information. As I said, everything's verifiable in the YouTube queue. Thank you for joining me. 1 second while I get everything ready for the next information. Any content played in this live is shared to my community post via the YouTube queue if you need verification. I will now give you information pertaining to what happened yesterday. To the best of, I guess, the ability of whoever's relaying the information. Anything that's not factual or into discrepancies, I'll gladly put any new information in the video, and I will pin it to the information, to the comment section. Thank you so much. CNN is the source. Former Alabama Corrections Officer Vicky White has died from injuries after she and escaped inmate Casey White were arrested in Indiana earlier Monday, Sheriff Dave Wedding of Vanderburgh County told CNN. She was hospitalized earlier with self-inflicted gunshot wounds after being taken into custody following a car chase in Evansville, Indiana. U.S. Marshals previously told CNN her wounds were very serious, Wedding said at the time. No law enforcement officers fired shots, according to Sheriff Rick Singleton of Lauderdale County, Alabama, where the pair, who are not related, fled on April 29th. Before the chase ensued, officers conducting surveillance spotted Vicky White exiting a hotel with a wig on, according to U.S. Marshal Marty Keeley. Then she and Casey White got into a car and drove away. Authorities continued to watch them until a vehicle pursuit began, ending when a U.S. Marshals Task Force member drove a vehicle into the Cadillac the pair were in. The car wrecked and rolled over, he said. Casey White was driving the car, according to the U.S. Marshals, though Wedding had earlier told reporters Vicky White was the driver. Officers were able to remove the inmate from the wrecked car, but Vicky White was pinned inside with a gunshot wound to her head, Keeley said. Casey White reportedly told officers to help his wife, who had shot herself in the head, according to Keeley, and told them he didn't do it. Keeley said, to their knowledge, Casey White and Vicky White are not married. Inside of the CNN commentary, you will see the wrecked car being put on the tow truck stretcher. The pair's capture brought to a close an 11-day manhunt that gained widespread national attention and saw hundreds of tips flood in from all corners of the country, including one that ultimately led to the location and arrest of the fugitives. That tip came Sunday night, Singleton said. Wedding said the duo were believed to have been in Evansville since May 3rd. It's hard to believe they've been here that many days, but we're lucky that we stumbled upon them today, he said. Singleton said Casey White, 38, will be brought back to Alabama. The inmate faces previous murder charges. Vicky White, 56, was first charged with permitting or facilitating escape in the first degree and was later facing additional forgery and identity theft charges. He will be in a cell by himself, Singleton said. He will stay in handcuffs and shackles while he's in that cell, and if he wants to sue me for violating his civil rights, so be it. He's not getting out of this jail again, I'll assure you that, quote unquote. Singleton said, I've always expected this outcome. I knew we would catch them. It was just a matter of time. Most escapees from a county jail are spontaneous, he said. This escape was obviously well planned and calculated, Singleton said. A lot of preparation went into this. They had plenty of resources, had cash, vehicles, had everything they needed to pull this off, and that's what made this last week and a half so challenging. We were starting from ground zero, and not only that, they got a 6-hour head start on us. Earlier Monday, U.S. Marshals released photos of who they believe was Casey White caught on surveillance camera at an Evansville car wash. It was the first time since he escaped the Lauderdale County Detention Center with Vicky White that he was reported seen. Vicky White was not seen in the photos. And once again, inside of this commentary by CNN News, you will see Mr. Casey White standing behind the blue four-door, I believe it's an F-150 truck with a dark baseball cap, light colored shirt on in a car wash stall. Investigators were notified Sunday night that a 2006 Ford F-150 had been discovered at a car wash in Evansville, about 175 miles north of Williamson County, Tennessee, where the 2007 Ford Edge the pair had been traveling in was found abandoned. The owner provided the images from a security camera, a U.S. Marshal said in a release. Marshals went to Indiana following up on the tip, the agency said. A reward up to $15,000 was offered for information leading to his capture and $10,000 for information leading to Vicky White's capture. Before she died, Vicky White was facing new forgery and identity theft charges in Alabama, in addition to the charge of permitting or facilitating escape in the first degree that was filed last week. The new charges were announced Monday and stemmed from the officer using an alias to purchase the vehicle using escape of the 2007 Ford Edge, officials said. Vicky White, who was an assistant director of corrections for Lauderdale County, took Casey White from the jail April 29th, saying she was taking him for a mental health evaluation, which authorities learned later had never been scheduled. She then said she was going to get medical care after dropping the inmate off because she wasn't feeling well. Vicky White's use of aliases may have complicated the search, Singleton said Monday. If she was using her own identity, that would make it fairly easy for us to maybe find her, Singleton told CNN's Bianca Goladriga. We do know she used a false identification to purchase a car here locally. Before Vicky White's death, Singleton said he hoped she would survive the injuries. We don't wish any ill will on Vicky, but she has some answers to give us, he said. I have every bit of trust in her. She had been an exemplary employee. I don't know if we'll ever know what happened to change that. I think they meant to say past tense he had. Surveillance video footage of Vicky White taken before the getaway showed the level of preparation that went into the escape, Singleton said. Investigators found footage of White shopping for men's clothes at a department store and at an adult store, Singleton said, adding she obviously had a change of clothes for the inmate. It just tells us that it was very well planned and calculated, Singleton said. Obviously, she well planned this escape down to a T. Investigators early released video footage showing Vicky White at a Quality Inn in Florence, where she stayed the night before the escape more than a week ago. The patrol car that officer and inmate took from the jail was found abandoned in a shopping center parking lot. Vicky White's jail keys, radio, handcuffs were found inside. Authorities believe the pair left the lot in a different vehicle. Vicky White's 2007 Ford SUV she parked in the lot the night before. The vehicle was spotted on May 6th at a Tennessee tow lot. The car had been abandoned in the woods without any identification information on the same day, any identifying information on the same day the duo escaped, indicating they drove about 2 hours north from the jail in Florence to Williamson County, Tennessee. Authorities believe the vehicle may have had mechanical problems that prompted the abrupt stop in the area. Vicky White and Casey White had known each other since 2020, the sheriff told CNN earlier this week. Prior to their disappearance, Vicky White had announced plans to retire and sold her home for a price well below market value. The sheriff's office had announced on May 4th that she was no longer employed by them, adding that while April 29th was her last day of work, her retirement papers were never finalized. And it says correction. An earlier version of this story had the wrong first name for U.S. Marshal Marty Keeley. If you need verification for this information, CNN is the source. Okay. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Whoops, sorry about that. Thank you all for joining me. All right. CNN was the source of that information. So, as you heard different commentary in the audio that he was shot, do not know what's the truth to that. I'm not here to argue any points made in an audio or articles. Anything that needs to be upgraded, changed, I will put a correction in the comment section or on a community post. In this article on CNN, you hear that she is the one that shot herself. It is also said that he was driving, Mr. Casey, and not Vicky. The first thing I thought of was, maybe that is true, because the first thing I thought of was, if a person's car has been wrecked and they're pinned, how would they be able to get the gun to shoot themselves? So I don't know really what to say, because now I'm about befuddled. If he was driving, he was able to be extracted from the car with no problem, but she was pinned. So one could wonder if she shot herself while the car was in motion before the car crashed. Some may think that he shot her. I could see her killing herself because she didn't want to face the music and go back to a small town where she was the jailer and face all those people, ridicule for the mistake she made by getting in cahoots with this inmate. So maybe she shot herself while the car was in motion during the chase and was already out of it when the car landed in the ravine ditch. We will see. Next commentary is by Indiana officials. Thank you for joining me. WVTM 13 News is the source.
Well, good morning. We'll start this conference quickly here. We introduce what had happened over the last 24 hours. I'd like to introduce people who've been involved in this since yesterday, and that's Gabe Guerrero. He's the Great Lakes Task Force Deputy Commander. Southern Indiana U.S. Marshal Dan McClan. Steve Lockyer, our coroner. Chief Billy Bolin, Assistant Chief Phil Smith, and ISP Justin Bean, who's part of our task force. As everybody knows, we're here today because we were seeking out this particular fugitive from Alabama who had been in on a capital murder offense and had been in Evansville for approximately 1 week. We were fortunate to have cooperation from law enforcement from Alabama, Mississippi, our U.S. Marshal Task Force, which is comprised of members of the Sheriff's Office, the Indiana State Police, and the Evansville Police Department, and the U.S. Marshal Service. Because of all the resources, we received a lot of tips. We got some good surveillance videos that showed a pickup truck that's been left at a car wash, and then a subsequent vehicle that they took and escaped in from the car wash, which was a Cadillac. We recently found out that they'd been staying at a hotel down the road here. It used to be a Motel 6, and now I think it's changed names, and they had a 14-day stay there. We were fortunate that during our investigation yesterday, an Evansville police officer who was just doing his good diligence of patrolling and being smart noticed the vehicle in the parking lot of the hotel and notified us immediately. So the task force members got together, they drove down there, set up surveillance on the hotel. Soon thereafter, the two suspects exited the hotel and fled out of the hotel parking lot northbound on US Highway 41, turned in at an industry known as Anchor here in Evansville. They went through the parking lot, went through a grass field. The members of the U.S. Task Force basically rammed the vehicle and pushed it into a ditch. And we later found out, had they not done that, the fugitive was going to engage in a shootout with law enforcement. So by our quick thinking, our actions, sometimes people may call that unnecessary action, but that action may have saved many of my deputies and fellow law enforcement officers' lives. And that's why I represent the Sheriff's Office. I want to bring my people home, and I don't care about the fugitives' lives if it protects my people's lives. And here I commend them for a job well done. They knew they were going up against a dangerous felon, a murderer, and we have photos of the weapons that were located in the vehicle. There were at least 4 handguns, semi-automatics, 9mm, and this is known as an AR-15, which shoots a .223 caliber round. So any one of these weapons could have been used to ambush our officers while they were attempting to capture a murder suspect. So I commend them for the quick and aggressive action. It probably saved a lot of chaos by doing quick action there. Once the vehicle crashed, the female suspect shot herself. The male suspect gave up when we approached the vehicle. They were both taken out of the vehicle. Life-saving measures was attempted on the female, but she suffered a grave injury and subsequently died at the hospital last night. We interviewed the suspect for quite some time. I don't want to get into all the details of that because some of that may be used against him, but we have him presently in our Vanderbilt County Jail. He signed a waiver of extradition to go back to Alabama. I've notified the sheriff there, and they are going to make arrangements to pick the suspect up and return him to the state of Alabama. Due to safety and security measures, we won't be divulging that to you. It won't be a public spectacle. When he leaves, he'll go out a hidden exit, and it won't be for public display. So we won't divulge the date and time when the Alabama authorities take the prisoner back to Alabama. Once again, I can't shout out enough praise to all the law enforcement here in our community for the hard work that they do. The task force, I was asked by a member of the media this morning if this was like an odd occurrence, and it's certainly not an odd occurrence. We arrest dangerous felon subjects every single week. We've been involved in multiple shootings in this community. We shot people. We've been shot at. So this is law enforcement. This is today's law enforcement. It's a very dangerous occupation. So I hope the public realizes what we do is dangerous, and we have to take action to protect ourselves so each and every one of these fine men and women go home to their family and their loved ones, and we don't let the criminal win the war. So I appreciate you being here. That pretty well wraps up what I have to say. We have multiple members here. If anybody wants to add to what I said, you're welcome to do that. Or if anybody has questions they want to ask off this, go ahead. Yes, sir.
We know that Vicky White had $90,000 in cash with her. Have you located that money?
Yeah, we got a photo. They had about $29,000 left over. Here's a picture of the money that was left in the vehicle that we counted last night after we inventoried the vehicles. Yeah.
The owner of, or the manager of the car wash who first called police about the truck, will he be receiving the $25,000 reward?
Now, I don't know anything about the reward money, personally.
It seems like he sort of solved it.
Yeah, and I don't know, but that would be something that we'll deal with. Right now, that's not on our radar.
How did they get the F-150 and the Cadillac?
What's that?
How did they get the F-150 and the Cadillac?
They purchased the F-150 and drove it here. And where they got the Cadillac, I'm not sure at this moment.
What they were here for?
Well, I think he said that he was just trying to find a place to hide out and lay low. And they thought, they'd driven long enough that they wanted to stop for a while, get their bearings straight, and then figure out their next place to travel.
Did you get any indication that they were visiting anyone potentially at this hotel?
No, we don't believe they have any relatives, friends, or acquaintances in Evansville, Vanderbilt County.
Is there any dash or body camera video yesterday?
There may be some dash or body cam video. We haven't got that far yet for examining and releasing that. And there may be, but like I said, that's a lot further into our investigation.
Called apparently on Tuesday to report not only that truck, but also that he'd seen images of Casey White with tattoos on his arm and was told there's nothing we can do right now. It's not reported as a stolen vehicle. Those were his words. Why did it take so long to get a response?
Okay. Well, I'll let the police chief answer that.
So I'll back up just a little bit. On May 2nd, we had an officer on the evening of May 2nd proactively driving through lots, and he was running plates just to see if they were stolen. He actually was the first one to run this plate on the evening of May 2nd, and it didn't come back stolen, didn't return anything. On May 4th, we got the call to the car wash, and the first officer went out, and the caller was not on scene when the officer was there. We do have body camera footage of the officer running the plate, looking in the car. He ran the VIN number, and then he left because it was an abandoned vehicle that we can't tow that. It would have to be 48 hours at the owner's request of a place before we can tow it off private property. But the owner of a residence can choose to have it towed on their own. He called back a couple hours later and had not seen the officer on scene, so we sent another officer back out, met with him. The second officer that went out also ran the info and explained the process to him that we would have to wait 48 hours before we could tow it, but if he wanted to tow it on his own, he could. And that's when they towed the vehicle, was on May 4th after that second run. From everything we've seen, there was no mention that this was connected to Alabama. On the 911 gives hope, or 911 audio, there was no mention that it was connected to Alabama. So at that point last week, there was no tie at all to this being involved with anything out of state. There was no mention to it being connected with them. So it was just an abandoned vehicle for us at that point.
Why he stopped at the car wash?
No, there's no reason. He just happened to pull in there like he's going to try to ditch the vehicle there.
By the 14-day stay, they were only gone for about 11 days, but you said a 14-day?
He had paid for 14 days to stay at the hotel. Was that? Yes. Uh-huh.
Did he have somewhere they were headed?
Say that again?
Did he give you any sense of an end game, a place that they were headed to?
No, they said they were just trying to contemplate where they could go and kind of be discreetly away from the public's eye.
Sheriff, I was in this area.
Wigs, they had multiple wigs.
He was in this area we're in this area presumably since May 3rd, almost a week. What other interactions have you been able to trace? If they were here that long, surely there were other businesses or whatever that they would have.
Well, to that point, just like yesterday, there's hundreds of tips that come in. Someone claims they've seen the suspects, but we've had people claim they saw them in Richmond, Indiana, and we just go through every single tip. But from my standpoint, we've got the case solved. We've got a person deceased. We have another person in custody heading back to Alabama. That's my concern.
When we hear that when he was getting pulled out, when he was coming out of the car, he said, "My wife is dead and I didn't do it." Do we know if that's true, and were they married?
They were not married. They shared the same last name. And our preliminary investigation, we don't believe he shot her. But once the coroner examines the body through pathology, he can make a determination of that.
Sheriff, how do you know that it was aiming Casey White to have some sort of violent confrontation with police? Obviously, you showed that arsenal of weapons that was inside the car. Did he express in your interviews with Casey any desire to do that?
Yes. He said that he was probably going to have a shootout at the stake of both of them losing their lives.
Sheriff, did they have a plan? Were they trying to get somewhere? Obviously, he wanted to escape.
Their plan was pretty faulty. They're criminals. Their plan was faulty, and it failed. Thank God. Well, no. And once again, what was going through her mind, I have no idea.
Sheriff, did he express how long that relationship had gone on between the two?
And that's under our investigation. We're not going to divulge that right now.
Sheriff, did he express any remorse for her death?
No.
You get the sense they were actually doing this together. He was not forcing her.
Right. No, he was not forcing her. It was a mutual relationship.
Sheriff, can you clarify where she shot herself?
Well, we'll let the coroner talk about that after the investigation.
When is that coroner's report expected?
Well, we think that that's what we're going to initiate. The autopsy will be conducted this afternoon, and they'll put a report out when they're ready.
You don't know how they got the Cadillac. How did you guys know to look for a Cadillac?
No, we saw the Cadillac in surveillance video at the time they ditched the pickup truck, and then they left in the Cadillac. We're not going to charge him here. He has much more serious charges in Alabama, and we want to get him down there and let them take care of that. We haven't found any drugs of any significance.
Or not the jail, but somebody that works in the jail did this.
Well, it's certainly an unpleasant thought, and it's kind of shocking that somebody would do that. But remember, they're human beings, that they have their own minds, and for whatever reason, that they've developed some type of relationship. And so it's startling, but, you know, they're humans, make mistakes.
Sheriff, how many law enforcement vehicles were damaged?
Maybe 3 at most. And that's a small price to pay to stop a murderer. Just one had a slight head injury from banging his head inside the vehicle, but he's okay now.
Where did she get the gun that she used on herself?
What's that?
Where did she get the gun that she used?
Well, I have no idea. If we should have had one from her agency, they could have stolen some, they could have bought some, and that's where we're got to piece all together. If you want to look, here's the pictures of the vehicle. Here's his and hers vehicle here. And this was a ditch that really nobody knew, including the suspects. But this ditch actually helped us in the pursuit. Because as they forcibly rammed the vehicles, it turned over on its side, and that disrupted his plan to try to have a shootout with law enforcement. And he even made that statement. Well, you remember, in law enforcement, you can be a town like in Posey County where a deputy was shot in the head. You can be in New York City. You can be in Evansville, Indiana. Crime's everywhere. Unexpected crime, violent crime is everywhere. So we never go to work thinking we're not going to encounter an unusual or serious situation. I said our task force members routinely go out and arrest violent felons, murderers, and they get shot at, and they get attacked, and they get resisted. We get involved in pursuits. We're in a very dangerous occupation. And Evansville, Indiana is a fairly large community. I think people forget that. We're 180,000 people, and we're a hub of a very large demographic area. So we serve a population base of over 350,000 people. And it's conducive for criminal activity. And we have to prepare for that every single day. It could be, but right now we will continue our investigation, but that's the least of my worries at this time. But we will try to find an origin for each and every one of these weapons. Yeah, but I'm not going to get into the interview with the detectives. Well, she supposedly maybe sold a home before she left town and got a large sum of money from that. Was it what? I think she may have had a little bit of communication with our dispatch, possibly. I wasn't aware of it 100%, but I think she may have been talking to our dispatch. That's from her duty belt. This is her duty belt she wore as a confinement officer, correction officer in her home state of Alabama. She just took that with her when she left.
That hotel room in the car. That design is
in the car. In the car. They were in the vehicle.
Hey, Sheriff, after you guys took the initial video at the car wash, what was the indication? How did you guys figure out that they were still being in the area?
Well, it was a long, drawn-out process, like the police chief said. It's just bits and pieces of information kept coming in and tying things together. And it wasn't until over the weekend where it looked like more of a possibility that they had been here for sure. And once again, after 6 days, it was just hard to believe they were here. I wouldn't think somebody on the run would stay in a community like Evansville for 6 days. But we brought the resources in and continued our investigation based on the information we had. No, he's just in a holding area.
Now, they were at the hotel for quite a long time. Is there any indication at all that maybe the court
Well, I mean, we don't have any reason to believe that right now. But once again, we're less than 24 hours in this investigation. We have a lot more of the puzzle to put together. So just yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. A very short window of time. He had a couple bumps and bruises from the crash. Yeah. I haven't seen the video, but Casey White was at the scene, so you got that for sure.
Can we get JPEGs of those posters so that we can actually have a digital version of that, what you're showing us?
Possibly, yeah. I think it was almost instantaneously. Before our deputies and task force members got to the vehicle, she had shot herself. Yeah, I got it written down here. So. Motel 41. Yes, probably less than a mile south of here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. To the left. I'm sorry. She had bought that vehicle. Yes. I don't know where she may have bought it in the state of Tennessee. I'm not sure. No, I think after.
The car was actually purchased by Casey White for $6,000 in Tennessee, same day they escaped. Is that not accurate?
That's probably accurate. Everybody okay with that? And I know you've asked a lot of questions, and as the sheriff, I think they're good media-related questions, but we're trying to take dangerous people off the street. And so a lot of the where they bought the car and where they did this and that is a minor concern versus us getting them off the street and making our community safe. Now, this investigation will go on maybe for weeks, and we will uncover things in the future that we don't have at this time. But like I said, we're less than 24 hours from the time that we were involved in pursuit in a serious crash and somebody losing their life. Several. We have the United States Marshal, the Indiana State Police, the Evansville Police Department, the Vanderbilt County Sheriff's Office, many members of law enforcement from Alabama, Mississippi, some members of the FBI, and probably agencies in between. So there's plenty of agencies involved. I'm not understanding your question. Yeah. No, that has absolutely no merit to what went on. Zero. We'll have photos available for media later, yes. Does anybody else need comment? Anybody have anything you want to say? Or anybody have any questions of the other law enforcement leaders here?
No, not to see the vehicle in person, no. What's that? I don't know if we do. If we do, we can maybe release that. That's not a big deal. It's a wig, a standard wig. This? Oh yeah, sure. You guys want to take those over there? I think there was multiple wigs, maybe reddish and blonde. Yeah, you wouldn't look good in it.
So funny.
Well, we thank you. If anybody needs any other questions from everybody will be mingling around for a while. And once again, keep in mind, less than 24 hours, there's a lot of questions that won't be answered until we have a much deeper investigation, get all of our notes and material together, and we also have privileged information that we can't share. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. The source is WVTM 13 News. They've been a source of a lot of my content that I've covered since uploading a channel to YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and chop up everything they said, plus the other questions I had pertaining to this storyline. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Let's go ahead and get started, everybody. There's other content I want to play as well pertaining to News Nation Now and other networks who've brought forth information, basically recapping everything that he has said to you and what I've read to you by CNN News. Let's start at the very beginning here. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me. Ooh, I keep notes. Okay. Well, we can thank the manager of the car wash, which led to all this. I believe that is the start of how all this came to be, because everybody was getting misinformation by the sheriff from Alabama. He was telling things that weren't accurate and truthful. You know, some of us believe possibly he should not have been talking in the beginning to do a press conference because he didn't have all the information correct. This is how rumors get started, when you don't have everything correct. So you've got cars that were stolen, not stolen. Then you've got who was in the driver's seat. First they said it was Vicky. Then now they're saying it was Casey. Some of you think he shot her. Some of you think she shot herself. Well, you have to use common sense. These people are on the run driving. You're trying to get away. I don't see somebody driving a car trying to kill themselves while they're driving the car. Now, if they're a passenger, they don't have control over what their passenger is doing. I believe she shot herself while in tow, while in the chase. She figured, I'm just going to shoot myself now and get it over with, because if she was pinned inside, because remember they said they pulled him out first, how would she have shot herself? Because if you wreck the car, we don't know if she even had the gun in her hand when the car wrecked to be able to go ahead and shoot herself. When she impacted the ravine, when the LE's truck ran into their truck, to their car, the gun could have fallen out of her hand. So I don't know if she had a revolver or a rifle, shotgun. I don't know, because I wasn't there. But Mr. James obviously saw the car on surveillance. So I believe that's what got all this started. So he's calling people, not getting any attention. Finally, law officials pick up the content, start driving around, surveying areas. They get to see the video. Now you get to see the whole view of the truck, Tennessee tags. So now let's start calling Tennessee, talking to them. And then I guess the rest is history. Officer in the video, as I said, ran the plates of the truck. Why did they leave the truck there? That's a stupid idea. But that's the whole point of being a criminal. They're not always smart. Some of you thought he was going to kill the lady. Some of you thought she was already dead. But as you see, you don't know these people. He's a killer. He's a shooter. But in the end, there was no shootout because he wrecked the car. And then you hear that content as well. He said he would have, though. But he didn't. But somebody still could have shot out of the car while the car was driving. Stay woke. 48 hours before they could have towed the car. Now, the person privately could have towed it on their own at their own risk. But naturally, he wasn't going to spend any money. The manager of the car wash. No mention of out-of-state crimes. That was one reason why there was no jump on the car being towed, investigated by the police there up in Indiana. The marshals rammed the car into the ditch. They had a truck. Now, when we saw the truck, we assumed that was the same truck from the car wash, but obviously it was not. They had bought a Cadillac. All cars bought. He was trying to be discreet, Casey, but he wasn't, because he was out where he could be seen on the video. That's how they got caught. Ditching that car there. She pulling up, obviously, to get him in the car. That's how they found out about the Cadillac. So now they know what other car to look for the suspects, because they were seen on camera. She had multiple wigs. The sheriff here is very nonchalant, if you notice his tone while speaking. He only cared about solving the case. He really wasn't concerned about anything that these people had going on, how they came to be in Indiana. As he said, it's a 24-hour situation that just jumped off. Still a current investigation. Not trying to file any charges against Casey. He wants him out of there because, more paperwork. Get him on where he's going. He hasn't committed any serious crimes to their knowledge, so hell yeah, we want him out of here. They're not married. And it is believed from their opinion that she did shoot herself, but they're waiting on an autopsy. Arsenals were found in the car. They're working on finding information pertaining to every weapon that was found. But as Mr. Singleton told you in Alabama, she had weapons anyway. That was told in the beginning of this story. She owned weapons. Two revolvers, I believe, 2 pistols, AR-15, and a shotgun, all in her possession, owned by she. He doesn't want to get into the logistics of the relationship, what Casey said they weren't. But as far as who orchestrated the crime, Casey said it was mutual. So it was a mutual agreement between the two. Wasn't one versus the other. So now we know it wasn't a surprise that he walked out into that garage and got in a car thinking he was going to an appointment. It was mutual, so he knew it was planned. So we don't have to talk about that, address that anymore. The coroner will reveal the autopsy when it is ready. It will be conducted this afternoon. And as I said, the Cadillac led officials to them at the hotel. But what I find interesting is, why didn't you all approach them at the hotel? Because once you found out about the truck, which led you to find out that the truck was from Tennessee, from video surveillance, talking to officials in Tennessee, a whole week later, very strange to me. Why didn't you approach them at the car? Because either way, they had weapons. So if you approach them before they get in the car, they don't have time to get the weapons. But then the flip side of that is they can have the weapons on them. But so long as you're qualified as a law official, U.S. Marshal, Secret Service, you're supposed to know how to use a weapon. You know there's going to be danger in apprehending, confronting a suspects. So I don't understand why this didn't take place at the hotel. Either way, you're endangering lives of people. The open highway, to me, is the worst place to confront somebody, because there's numerous people on the road, people riding bicycles, motorcycles, walking in the park, people riding public transportation. So how was an open road better than approaching them at the hotel? How many days were they at the hotel? Quite a few. They paid for a 14-day stay. They should have stayed there. They stayed too long. They should have dumped the car in the dark. You don't dump a car during daylight savings time. You don't dump a car in a population of 180,000 citizens, which the sheriff told you that's their population, roughly. And then they serve at least 350,000. So they're probably in a mecca of little suburbs outside of a little city, which they, probably talking about the county too. It's ridiculous. That's where he messed up, was putting the car in the car wash with surveillance. Damn, Casey, you didn't see the cameras in the car wash? The fact that it looked like there was plastic over the driver's window led me to believe there was a window missing, or that they broke it out to break in the car. But now they're saying the truck was bought, the SUV was bought. Now we believe what? The Cadillac was bought. All these cars, now money's dwindling down, and she had $60,000 to $90,000. Now they tell you they only counted $29,000. So I don't believe she paid no more than under $10,000 for every car. So where's the rest of the money? $30,000 and below for the cars, let's say. Gas to put in each car. Registering for tags. Stay woke. I believe there's some money missing. Because like I told you, 9 times out of 10, she also had savings, checkings. You don't know if she had money also from life insurance policy of the dead husband. If indeed she was also a beneficiary, she probably had a whole lot more than the $90,000. Be interesting to find out if somebody took some of that money while investigating. Yeah, I'm going to say that and keep it real because it happens all the time. As he said, people make mistakes, law officials. When that was asked about, are you shocked that a jailer did this? Obviously, there's a rumor circulating that Vicky had interaction with the dispatch. You didn't hear that in that dispatch call I played you. Thank you, KM, for that, sending me that information. So why would she be calling the dispatch to say what exactly? Why would she be calling the dispatch? So when did she call them? While en route during the car to tell them, we're going to go out like a bang? What? What did she say, if indeed she did call them? 3 cars were damaged. Law official cars were damaged. None of those officers were injured. Mr. Casey got some bumps and bruises from when the car went into the ditch. Very interesting. Very interesting. He also says that Casey would have engaged in gunfire, but the car was on his side. So he couldn't. That's why I said. That's why I believe she shot herself in tow before the car crashed. She may have shot herself when it crashed. But if she was peeing, how would she be able to reach the gun? As I said, would the gun still have been in her hand when the car impacted the ditch? A lot of questions. Ellie says the plan was faulty. I guess so. One's dead and one's caught. And he really didn't want to get into the logistics of the relationship that was discussed between Casey and the detectives. I guess he feel like he'll let the detectives tell all that or not tell it because naturally it'll be used in court against him, whatever he told law officials. No remorse, they said. That was asked. Did he have any remorse? He said no. Casey didn't have any remorse. Why not? I thought maybe hell it was love. I don't know. I'm not in their heads. Not in their pants either. So he didn't love her. He has no remorse that his girlfriend is now dead. And I always wonder why it wasn't a shootout, but that's the point. The car was turned over, so maybe that's why there wasn't a shootout. But like I said, he could have shot out of the window. A rifle has a long reach versus a pistol or revolver. Paid for 14 days. As I said, that was their demise, hanging around that town. They resting up. I figured they were tired. Tired of driving, tired of moving around. Because you have to be able to think properly when you are trying to navigate. Proper rest, proper water, proper food. Because everybody knows when you're trying to do something wrong, you got to be able to think. So you can't think in motion. You got to sit down, be still, lie down, rest, put your feet up, think about where you're going. They stay too long. When you want to ditch your car, you push it in the water, river, lake, ocean. You don't ditch cars in the daytime. I don't care if you're wearing a wig or not, baseball cap. They messed up. Didn't have no mask on to conceal their facial structure. He should have had a wig on, beard. You should have had on a disguise different than how you left the damn jail. That's the whole point. You're standing out there, dumping a car like it's nothing. You should have dumped it somewhere far off. Once you purchased the Cadillac, you should have drove the truck somewhere far off in the pitch black night. and you dump it somewhere that ain't going to be in the town where you're going to hang out. You're going to dump it in the same town where you're hanging at a hotel. Does that make any sense? And then the car wash had surveillance. So you dump the car where there's surveillance, where somebody can get a good look at you. You got a bullseye view of the tag. He's calling. Finally, the law officials take it serious. Then they start calling Tennessee. And then here comes the story of a jailer and an inmate on the run. Then they have a bullseye view of her pulling up in a Cadillac. So now they know what damn car to look for. All these damn cars. That's where all the money was going. Buying cars. They should only been buying one car. And preferably should have bought the car from somewhere else outside of the general area. Really, if she had any sense, she should have took off from work for a couple of days and planned this out. I'm going to say she did pretty damn well. But with the resources they had, she could have been on the run longer. She should have took off from work, went out of town, far away, set up a place to stay first and foremost. First and foremost. Got you a car from out of town. Way out of town. Drove it somewhere, parked it. Hell, maybe Uber to that place. Or place nearby where you got the car parked. That way, even if somebody say, yeah, they got in my Uber, the car ain't going to be around. Because you park it somewhere else near the drop-off spot. Where the Uber driver can't even see the car you're getting in. See, you have to think it out. That's why I said, did she ever take off from work? Because we now know she couldn't have. Because they stayed in a hotel. That's what got them caught. Being seen, dumping the car where you're seen, where there's a camera, which led to the third car, which is the Cadillac. Thousands of places they could have went and hid. They could have took a bus, train. Could have met up separately. She's disguising herself. Frankly, she could have been the one to get away easier because she's petite and she can disguise herself in the 1,000 different ways versus him. Like I said, officer saw the car at the motel, but why didn't he approach him at the motel? They said she fled. I don't think she fled. You followed her. That's what you said originally. You followed her out of the hotel. She didn't know you were watching her until you started ramming and letting her know, hey, we're on to you, because you probably put the lights on her. Yeah. Then she took off. I don't think she had any idea when she came out of that hotel that she was being followed or watched. Come on now. Sheriff, you've been a little too cocky for my taste. And once again, they didn't engage in gunfire. They could have easily pulled a gun out of the window and started shooting. I'm still baffled by the open road confrontation because it could have ended much worse. She could have ran into somebody's car. How is ramming your car into her car on a public road a better fit? It's dangerous either way. But that was their method. I'm confused, frankly. They asked about the reward. He don't have any information about who's going to get it, how it's going to be administered. Casey signed extradition papers back to Alabama. So he'll be back in Alabama to face murder charges of Connie Ridgway. They're not going to reveal when he's being released. They're going to have a hidden exit as so nobody will know when he's leaving to keep him safe. I guess to keep down the media attention. And as I said, $29,000 was left. He's taking a picture of it and it's been counted last night. My understanding, these cars were bought. All three. So now you have to ask yourselves about the first truck. Does it actually work? Was it broke down or they left it there? But then the flip side of that is, how did they get to the pickup truck. Because if they were stranded with the Ford Edge, how did they get out of there? Because remember, I asked you that in the live. How far was that area where the Ford Edge is to the Walmart gas station? Just imagine being on foot, on the run, walking around with a bunch of bags trying to get to safeties. Very crazy. They planned on moving to somewhere else, but they didn't. 6 days or so right there in Evansville, Indiana, in a damn hotel where you can be seen coming and going. Perhaps they use side doors, back doors. See where they messed up? As I said, being seen. He should have never left out of the car. They should have bought a Winnebago camper, something with wheels, but maybe they wanted to save money. As you see, the money was going down quick. You've already bought 3 cars, food. You got to buy clothes, disguises. The money's going to go fast. You're feeding 2 people. 6,000 here, 7,000 there. It adds up. Depending on what she actually had in tow with her. As I said, did she borrow for credit cards? That was mentioned. Her credit cards were cut off. Did she borrow any money off her credit card? They were trying to find a place. As he said, rest up, tired of driving. And as I said, you need to be able to think. You can't think driving around. You got to sit still to plan your next move. So they got comfortable. And that's what criminals do. They get comfortable. That's how they get caught. They're in a hotel. You got air conditioning, Wi-Fi, cable. Hell yeah, you're comfortable. All you got to do is go out, get your food, come back into the room. But as I said, you're on the run. You're really trying to stay free. You should have bought somewhere to sleep first. That should have been her motivation. Go somewhere and buy a place to stay. Should have went far away, put some money down on something, turn on the lights, the gas, and then traveled your way there. Could have traveled there by damn Greyhound. Don't sit with each other. Don't stand with each other. Think about it. They could have easily boarded a Greyhound. He sat at the back of the bus. She sat at the front. Never communicated, never looked at each other, never talked. See, there's a way of doing things. They weren't that smart. As somebody said on the, I believe, News Nation, why not buy something that you can ride around in? But as I said, those traveling buses, Winnebagos, whatever, campers, it costs. They're going to be costly, maintenance. Going to drink up a lot of gas, traveling up and down the highway. Then if you want to park it at an RV park, whatever, that's going to cost you. Costs money. That's why I said she should have set up a place to live first. Because the hotel was not a good idea. People watch the news. Older people watch the news. Don't you find it interesting? The person that is the nosy Parker watching the surveillance is an older person. Young people don't pay attention to stuff. You can run right over them. They don't care. But older people still watch the news. And like I said, putting that car in a car wash with an open tag from Tennessee was a dead giveaway, whether it was stolen or bought, because you're leaving it somewhere on private property and they're going to call to get it removed. And he obviously was one of those people that watched the news, knew of the story. So once he saw the Tennessee tag, that's all it took. And that's exactly what I preach about on this network. All it takes is one nosy Parker, one person to keep asking questions. Had he never left that car there, they could still be on the run right now. You should have taken that car and pushed it down a damn river. You want to stay free. Very crazy. What's going to happen now with the jailing systems here in America? Because now we see people are finding ways to get out, infiltrate the system. I brought you stats last night from News Nation, over 3,000 escapees last year. And that's not with the help of a jailer, perhaps. What about these jailers? Are they unstable? Do they need to now seek mental health for the people that's watching the inmates. As I said last night in my live, is it time now to start checking the jailers, sending them to do mental evaluations to see if they're still competent to do their job, physical too. Because as I said, over time, people start to eat donuts, chocolate cake, soda pops. They can't wrestle nobody to the ground. How many cases have you seen where the inmates overpowered the jailers, the correctional officers? Because they ain't got it in them no more. I read you the credentials for an Alabama correctional officer. You got to do a lot of strenuous work. But hey, 5, 6 years, 10 years, they start getting fat, chunky. They can't do nothing. And those inmates are coming in there doped up, geeked up on fentanyl, heroin. They could take an entire damn stallion down because they are high on adrenaline. Will the protocol change in Alabama? That's a very big question. What's going to happen with the sheriff down there? Were all the cars bought? Does he have remorse for what happened to he and Vicky? Would he do it again? He's in a holding area right now, waiting for extradition back to Alabama. 6 days. They were up there in that hotel. Not a peep from nobody from the hotel and nowhere else. Info kept coming in, which led to the apprehension of the two. She had already shot herself by the time the deputies got to the car. So when did she shoot herself? While in tow or after they wrecked? A lot of questions. Lots and lots of questions. Just a lot. Making sure I'm getting all my information. All the car swapping I found strange too. Car wash, why? Once again. Stay too long, visible. Sheriff Singleton from Alabama wishes no ill will on Vicky. He's basically mad at Casey, but why are you mad at him? It was her choice to fraternize with an inmate. That was Vicky's choice. Nobody did that to her. Read a comment today where some woman had a pity party for her. I'll let that woman know you're just as crazy as she is. You have the same mindset. People like you are the problem. Making excuses. A lot of women have chased in behind pathetic men. Criminals. Men who have broken the law. Aided them in breaking the law. Covered for them. But this heifer knew better. She didn't have nothing invested in him. He wasn't a father, husband, baby daddy, brother. Just a random guy in the damn jail. Come on now. Like minds think alike. Who was the mastermind of this escape? We now see it was mutual, what the sheriff says from Indiana. Will Casey disclose the whole truth of how this story unfolded? Who met who said what to whom first? As I said, it is saying that Vicky shot herself. Why would Casey shoot her? He had no reason to shoot her. He was already caught. He already knew he was going to be caught. He didn't try to shoot him back. So what's the purpose of shooting her? For what? The charges weren't going to go away. You're just adding another charge. And as someone asks, could he be charged with her death because in the commission of a felony, a death occurred? Who's to say? Depends on Indiana. But Indiana's not trying to bring forth any charges, so he won't probably get charged with her killing herself in the commission of a crime. And as I said, he's facing the death penalty, perhaps, for the killing of Connie Ridgway. Why add on something else? Did he kill Connie? Conflicting statements mentioned on News Nation about her being stabbed, neck cut. He revealed information, but it is said it's conflicting to what actually happened and was seen at the scene of the crime. So did he just do this just to be closer to Vicky so she could help him break out of the jail? Maybe he didn't kill the woman. I don't know. I got to do more research on the crime itself pertaining to Miss Connie. Do you think he should be in a maximum holding facility? What is the nearest facility that's maximum in Alabama? Because he does not need to go back to Lauderhill. They don't have any control down there. They're lax behavior, lax jailers, lax sheriff. One woman says the place is chaotic. She didn't elaborate. We got Mr. Johnson saying she was dark. He didn't elaborate. What the hell is going on in that jail? Because I'm smelling a rat. Literally. There's some fishy stuff going on with these jailers, officials. We're going to chop that up because there's something going on. Will the truth be revealed about the jail staff, inmates, improprieties? Will somebody else now feel free to come out and tell the whole truth? What was going on with her over the years? Was she in somebody's pocket? Was she being, has she bribed somebody? Did she have something on somebody? Vicky, was she having an affair with somebody there? There was a seniority, so they ignored anything she was doing and not doing. Something's off with comments made about her negative. Other people aren't shocked that she did this allegedly. Will somebody else come out and say they're not shocked at what she did? Current staff, older staff, other people in the community. She's quiet, but guess what? The little rat made a little noise because she took a inmate out of there. You didn't know her. Nobody knew her. Mom didn't even know her. Like the mom said, night and day. Will the sheriff remain the sheriff? Do the people have faith in him to remain the sheriff? Will he retire after this or be booted out? Had she lived and not quit her job, she would have been attending a award ceremony for Employee of the Year next week. How is it that she won this award, but somebody's saying she's a dirty bird? So what are we talking about here? As I said, was she in somebody's pocket in that damn jail? Did she have something on somebody? Was she a blackmailer, briber? Was she sneakily doing shit underhanded in the jail? That's why nobody spoke up against her. What are we talking about? As a matter of fact, she's won a few awards for Employee of the Year. This is not her first rodeo. So how are we talking about a sneaky, underhanded rat that keeps getting awards? What has she or what was she doing in that jail in the past 16, 17 years? Has she had rendezvous with staff members, entanglements with staff members, superiors, inmates before? Has she messed around with other men locked up, prison, jail, pen pals, writing them letters, putting money on the books? Who was Vicky White? Was she given a free pass to do whatever she want? Was she walking around with any inmate without another officer in tow? Did she leave the property with other inmates without another person? How long has she been escorting off inmates out of the jail without another party? Has this been going on for some time? And as I said, they turned a blind eye because she's in somebody's pocket in the jail. What are we talking about? Hell, maybe the sheriff likes her. They've had something going on. I don't know. I'm fishing. Was she enabled by the sheriff and others? As you see, Casey didn't kill himself in the car. He's known to threaten himself, others. Why not? Maybe he really does want to live. Just don't want to be in prison. But he doesn't want to be dead either. Did he realize there's no need in killing myself? Shooting at these people would have been useless. Because as I said, maybe he wants to live. Is the police responsible for this fiasco pertaining to late information coming out of Alabama pertaining to the orange Ford Edge. That information was late getting out to the public. When you all realized that Casey and Vicky were gone, you should have put an APB out on the two. Checkmate. Why are you all waiting about a damn truck? Who's going to send the picture? Somebody put the picture out by mistake. Who gives a damn? You're supposed to have been saying, hey, we've got a missing jailer. All points bulletin. We've got a missing jailer and inmate. We don't know if he did something to her, overpowered her. Please help us find them. Don't you find that strange? No bulletin that a jailer and an inmate are on the damn run, loose. See, all this could have been put to bed had an APB been put out about the two. That information would have circulated all over the South. They would have never made it past Tennessee. But they did because they waited. They didn't realize they were gone for 6 hours. So in 6 hours, hell yeah, you could be up the highway. 6 hours any direction. North, west, south, east. But the point still remains, no matter wherever they ended up, had you put out service announcement that we believe this, we believe that, they may have been captured sooner. Then you had to mess up there with the manager of the car wash going toe-to-toe with the Indiana police over a damn video surveillance of a stupid truck. That went on for another week. So it shows you the system is flawed as far as making reports, calling in suspicious behavior, suspicious cars. And this is how people get away with things. The loopholes. Who's responsible for what happened down in Alabama in that jail? Who's responsible for what went on in the jail? One woman interview says the place was chaotic. The sheriff admitted he's got inmates sleeping on the floor. He doesn't care where Casey sleeps. He's going to have a cell all to himself. Why hasn't he gone to the state to ask for money to make the jail better, build a better jail, or add on to the jail that they have? Sheriff, I'm talking to you. Why are you stacking inmates up? Why can't you petition for more money for your facility? Because maybe that's what that woman was saying, that it's chaotic. You all don't have any structure down there. You got the people sleeping on each other like they're a bunch of damn, slaves or something. They're stacking them up on a slave boat. So you don't have enough people per inmates working. 48 staff members, you said. Okay, now let's ask how many inmates do you have at a given time? Just saying. How is Pat doing? Vicky's mom. She must be devastated to know her child is now dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. What are the town people thinking? What are the jailers and the sheriff thinking now? Will there be some changes to the staff and the staff positions? As I just said, overcrowdings, young men, women sleeping on the floor. How long is this going to go on? How long has this been going on? Will the jail get better? What will Casey's defense be? Did he ever use drugs while he was on the run 6 days or so? Does he have any regrets? Did he love her? Well, the sheriff says he didn't have any remorse. As I said, why no bang bang shoot him up this time? Well, he told the sheriff the car was on his side, so I guess he said to hell with it. Does he regret going on the run with Vicky White? Was he beat down, tired, frustrated? Does he now ponder on how he got caught, the mistakes he made? He and Vicky. Would he do it over again? Will he try to escape again? Has anybody learned their lesson from this fiasco? Jailers, the sheriff, Casey White, staff members who kept their mouth closed and didn't say what they saw was going on in the jail with Vicky White. Will people now speak up and tell the truth? Has anybody learned their lessons from this escape? Why did Vicky shoot herself? Did she not want to go back to the jail that she just left, the place she was running from, the life she was running from? Did she say to herself, I can't go back there. Look what I've done. I've shamed my mother, my community, my friends, my co-workers, the sheriff. No way I can go back and lay up in the same jail I was working. I'll die in there. They'll hurt me, make fun of me, tease me, put their hands on me. I won't make it. She'd have never made it in there. Facing 10 years or more, identity theft, 10 years on the charge of just aiding and facilitating the inmate out of there. She wouldn't have made it in there. She wouldn't have made it in prison. Once again, who was the mastermind? People will probably argue this for years to come. Who was the orchestrator, the mastermind of this fiasco? Does it matter who's the mastermind? Does it matter who said something to whom first? Does it matter whom flirted with whom first? Does it matter who passed the telephone number to the inmate? They both knew better. But he's a criminal, so really you can't even get mad at the criminal. It's survival of the fittest for the criminal, you see. As the one woman said on News Nation, it is an artificial lifestyle behind bars. But yet people tend to wrap themselves up in that artificial lifestyle by trying to mate, date, bed an inmate, jailer, corrections officer. They go on and do it any damn way. Was he trying to redeem himself by being with Vicky on the run? Show her he's not this bad person people made him out to be. They got it wrong. Did he lie to her about what actually happened with all the counts and felonious behavior, shootouts, carjackings, murder? Did he even mention that he did kill Connie Ridgway to Vicky? Did Vicky take to the grave the truth about what happened to Connie Ridgway? Did he kill that lady? Slit her throat is what was said. Very vicious, cruel. Did he tell Vicky White that he killed her and she still wanted to be with him any damn way? Did they love each other? I keep asking, does he have any remorse? But sheriff who talked to him said, nah, he don't got no remorse. He didn't feel nothing. Oh, Lordy. That's my commentary. See, what you have to ask yourself is, this will probably happen again somewhere in the world, America. Some lonely creature who's out there searching for something will take in with the criminal mastermind, so they think, and be right back in the same situation again. Because now this has happened, what, 2 times in a 10-year period of a woman helping a man get out of prison. It's very sad. Because in the end, there will be somebody writing Casey White, feeling sorry for him, wanting to talk to him, send him money, put money on the books, visit him. And this triangle of deceit, madness, buffoonery, lies, manipulation, connery, buffoonery will start all over again. There will be another victim. She may not be a jailer, but she'll be some woman out here wanting to get into his peripheral, and he will kindly oblige her. That is to be expected. What else does he have to do? He's not leaving the jail if he doesn't break out again. So he is still a man. Still has needs, still have wants, despite being a drug addict and a killer. He's still a man. But what will be the question is, why would a woman want that type of man? What do I always tell you? Don't ask why. Ask why not. See, that's how a criminal thinks. Why not? Rob him, steal him, cut him up, hide the body, bury the body, steal their identity, defraud him. Why not? Because you see, I did it because I could. I can. See, you don't think like a criminal, so you're always asking why? Why she do it? Why she do it? Why not? Don't you understand? Why not? I did it because I could. I robbed those people because I could. I carjacked them because I could. I raped that person because I could. I stole from them because I could. I killed them because I could. I don't need your permission. That's the gist of the story. There will be another Casey White, and there will be another Vicky White. And that jail system needs to get their ass in gear. Because this cannot happen again. If it's going to get to the point where the jailers are going to be fraternizing with the inmates, we are in a world of trouble. Because next, just open the whole damn gate and let all the damn inmates run out. I'm surprised she didn't let more out. How about that? She was on a road with Casey. Hell, why not just let all of them out? Hey, everybody pile up in the squad car. We're going to take a ride. We're going for a picnic today. That crossed my mind yesterday. I said, hell, the way she was feeling, why not just pile them all up in a damn truck or van? Pull over the side of the road, uncuff them, and just let them run wild. As they say, free like OJ all day. Why not? Could it be she didn't like her job? As I said, she was tired of her job, tired of her life, tired of being lonely, tired of being alone. Fancied this crook. Didn't really care for the job, didn't care for the people at the job. I bet you in the end, if she lived to tell the story, you would really see a side of Vicky White that you really would be astonished, especially the sheriff, because I think he really liked her, had faith in her. But the scripture tells you not to put your faith in man because they'll surely disappoint you, and that is so true. I think if she was to live, she had lived, she was able to give an interview of her innermost thoughts and feelings, she would probably tell a lot of you she didn't give a fuck about none of you. How about that? She didn't like herself. She didn't like her job. Probably didn't even like her own mother. Didn't like the town. Didn't like the townies. Didn't like nothing about Florence, Alabama. You see, when you're insecure, bitter, mad at the world, you do crazy shit. You say crazy shit. You talk crazy. I've seen it recently. People who have nothing to live for, don't got nothing going on in their life, choose not to make nothing better about themselves, make better decisions, don't treat people accordingly. They talk crazy. Oh, I'm dead inside. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants me. Hell no. Why should we? Can't be nice to you because you don't know how to talk. You don't know how to engage in decent conversation. You get mad. You get quick-tongued. But yet we still fool with you any damn way, trying to be nice to you. See, that's what was going on with Vicky. And nobody realizes that. Well, midlife crisis, all that is deeper than a midlife crisis. She didn't like herself. And the midlife crisis really don't have anything to do with that, because 9 times out of 10, she's never liked herself. You probably don't know how long she's been thinking about freeing OJ, let's say. She's been this way for a while. She didn't wake up one day, start liking an inmate, and plotting to let him out and go on the run with him. This has been on her mind for some time. It's just a matter of how long. She's felt this way about herself, about her life, about Casey White. She's been unhappy. See, I told you, it's not about Casey. It's about Vicky White. Because without Vicky White, you wouldn't have a story. It'd just be some random guy going to trial for murdering a woman. You wouldn't know nothing about it. Wasn't going to be some big news story. It would have been Alabama news, not national news. It became national news when they put 2 and 2 together that Vicky White aided him out of that jail, sold her house, fake IDs, bought different cars, different aliases. Voila! Here's your news story. She didn't know herself. She didn't like herself. She didn't love herself. She put all her attention, or as they say in the street, all her eggs in one basket that was a fruitcake, a nut, a mental case. That's where she messed up. She could have easily found somebody out here to date. She could have easily got online and met somebody in Alabama, Tennessee, New York, wherever. But she chose not to. She chose what was easiest, right up under her nose. So it's easy to say he took advantage of her. He coerced her. He bamboozled her. But could it be she was also finessing him as well? Because in the end, he's the one incarcerated. He couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't get in a car, take a day drive, go out to eat, pay rent, pay a mortgage. His life was forfeited. She had the upper hand and she knew it. And who's to say she didn't enjoy it? He needs me. He ain't got nobody. Nobody believes in him. Nobody cares. So you see, it was 2 hustlers hustling each other. See, that's what you got to understand about the storyline. It takes a hustler to know another hustler. And perhaps that's why that Mr. Johnson did not have nice things to say about Vicky White. That in the end, the facade that she carried around for years in that town, in that jailing system, was just that, a mask. But when she walked out of that jail, April 29th, with Mr. Casey White, she took her mask off. And the real Vicky White was revealed. And in the end, he needed her. He didn't kill her. She was right there up until the crash. And like I said, no one's going to ever know if he would have done anything to her, because it really doesn't matter at this point, because it didn't happen. But perhaps he does not have the mental capacity to be on the run, to think ahead. Because, as I said, it takes a special kind of person to go on the run. He's a drug addict, robber, thief, murderer. He's not been on the run for a period of time. As I said, it takes savvy to stay on the run. You have to know what to do, not to do. Obviously, he did not know what to do because he was visible. So was she, because that's the point. They never lived on the run. That is how most people are caught, being visible. They fucked up, bottom line. Both of them had mental issues have mental issues. He's got something going on with him. She has something going on with her. Their paths crossed. They became evenly yoked in foolishness and madness and chaos. And that's the end of the story. And will it happen again? Yes, it will. Will a man fall prey to a woman manipulative? Yes, he will. Will a woman fall prey to a manipulative man? Yes, she will. Will they join evenly and be manipulators of one another? Yes, they will. Because people are human. And as the sheriff said in Indiana, people make mistakes. The problem is assessing it and breaking it down and saying to oneself, I can do better than this. I am better than this. This won't be my worst day. I'm not going to go down in history doing this here for this person here because I'm worthy. I deserve better than this. Exactly. When you have time on your hands, you can think of a lot of things to do. That is how a criminal comes to be. Is sitting and thinking. Sitting and watching, observing people. She looks like a good mark. He looks like a good mark. Let me try, see if I can get away with this or that. And that's how your criminal comes to be. Watching. Lurking. Observing. One second. Going to play some commentary out of Alabama. WHNT News 19 is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Capital murder suspect escaped from the Lauderdale County Jail is now dead after police chase in Evansville, Indiana. That is where we begin your News 19 at 10. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Greg Scrooge.
I'm Emily Forrester. Vicky White was taken to the hospital after that chase this afternoon. Now, Vanderburgh County Sheriff Dave Wedding says Vicky shot herself after crashing the truck she was driving with escaped inmate Casey White. The coroner there says Vicky died just after 7 tonight at Evansville Deaconess Midtown Hospital. There will be an autopsy tomorrow morning. The 16-year Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office veteran and former Assistant Director of Corrections at the jail had been on the run with Casey for 11 days.
So as for Casey White, he's in custody awaiting extradition to Alabama to face escape charges. And meanwhile, he still faces a capital murder charge for the 2015 killing of Connie Ridgway. That case is the reason he was in the Lauderdale County Detention Center at the time of his escape. It was scheduled to go on trial June 13th, but just this evening, Judge Benjamin Graves called an emergency status conference hearing, and that is set for noon tomorrow. Lauderdale County Sheriff Rick Singleton says whenever Casey does make it back to the detention center, he doesn't expect him to be there long. And meanwhile, tonight we're learning Vicky White had been voted Corrections Employee of the Year for the county. The award ceremony was set for next week.
Now, News 19's Addison Willman spoke with the sheriff tonight. Addison is live at the Lauderdale County Courthouse. How is the sheriff taking the news of Vicky's death?
Yeah, we spoke with the sheriff about an hour ago, and he explained it that the department was going through a circle of emotions over the past 2 weeks, starting with grief, then denial, then anger, and now back to grief. But he says this is the news conference that he's wanted to give for the last 2 weeks. And he says that while he isn't sure while they were in southern Indiana, he is glad that no members of the police department or members of the public were injured. Casey and Vicky White traveled more than 300 miles after escaping from the Lauderdale County Jail while on the run. They first ditched a vehicle in Williamson County, Tennessee, near Bethesda. The two then made their way north to Evansville, Indiana. Sheriff Singleton called it a very stressful, long week and a half. He credits tips from the public as to what led to their capture. And now that Casey White is in custody, Singleton says he will face justice.
We've already made arrangements for the Department of Corrections. He will be brought here for arraignment. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. The judge has agreed to come out. He will be arraigned and immediately transferred to the Department of Corrections.
Again, Vicky White died tonight as a result of a self-inflicted gun wound. Sheriff Singleton says he held no ill will towards her. Now, we're not sure how soon Casey will be brought back to Florence, but we will continue to follow it closely. For now, live in Lauderdale County, Addison Woolman, News 19.
All right, that's News 19, everybody. Sorry about that. 16 hours ago, uploaded content. I tried to upload everything I could come up with pertaining to this. This is uploaded 7 hours ago, News Nation.
Jailbreak that we've been following for days now. We have Kelsey Kernstein here, of course.
Welcome to the updated talkback.
Oh, stop it, Lord.
He's here to talk about exactly what we can expect next for Casey White. But we want to start with Kelsey right now. Kelsey, you actually went inside that Alabama community and inside that jail where Casey White was being held, where Vicky White worked. For the people who live in this community, I guess.
Oh, Lord, sorry.
Right? They're not used
My
to
device is acting up. Hold on.
A town of about 40,000 people. I mean, this is more media than they've seen in quite some time. They're absolutely shocked that any of this
Wait a minute.
would have happened. But I also had a chance to speak with an investigator last night who said,
Oh, Lord.
that Casey's, this is what he, quote, Casey's.
Hold on. my talk back jumped on. Lord have mercy. I got to get it off of here. Sorry about that. Oh, my God. Now, well. Should have known that.
Metro by T-Mobile.
Oh, Lord. We'll leave it alone. Because it's not going to stop talking. All right. That's the said commentary. Anything you want to check out pertaining to the storyline, I've uploaded to my community board. I've got to now figure out how to get this device to quit talking because now I've messed it up. What do the people think in the community? Because this is jacked up, messed up. It's a very sad story. Because her mother now doesn't have a daughter. And as I said, she was cruel, Vicky, to leave her mother behind, leave a dog behind. So I often wonder if she told her mother, hey, I'm going to be leaving. This is what I'm doing, but I'll contact you to let you know I'm safe. Or did the mother not know? She said she didn't know. She had no idea what her daughter was doing, who she was talking to. Same thing Casey's mother said. I knew he had a pen pal, but he never told me who she was. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, sweetie. Is it possible these mothers had no idea who their children were talking to, that they were plotting this escape? And as I said, where does the responsibility lie? Is the sheriff and the jailers responsible as well for this mess that has taken place? Because I do believe they turned a blind eye in that jail. I believe they knew of things pertaining to Vicky White and her demeanor and her interaction with other jailers, other inmates. And I think it's way deeper than what's been revealed of just her walking Casey White out. I believe she was a problem before Casey White ever entered that damn jail this year and 2 years ago. Vicky White is the problem. Because you see, if it wasn't Casey White, it would have been another inmate. Bingo card. Are you listening? If it wasn't Casey White, it would have been another inmate somewhere. Some other messed up creature she would have allowed in her fold. Whether locked up or free. So you have to pay attention to the details. She was already gone upstairs. She had already given up on herself. So it didn't take much for somebody to infiltrate and bamboozle her. She was her own worst enemy. And I think somebody's going to eventually come out and tell us some things that have not been repeated publicly about Vicky White that are probably going to be really, really bad. That she probably was doing a lot of underhanded things in that jail with staff members and inmates. I won't doubt that she's had affairs with other jailers. I won't doubt that she's had affairs with other inmates or fancied them. I won't doubt that she has talked, supported other inmates in other jurisdictions in the United States. Pen pal, money, all of that. I think a lot is going to come out about Vicky White. She didn't like herself. This was inevitable. I think it's obvious. 2 years of talking to somebody for visiting your jail one time, and then later they come back for an arraignment and you're walking them out of the jail. This was not an overnight thing. This lady was warped. And this is what happens when you don't have confidence in yourself. You take up with foolish people. They may not be murderers, may not be drug addicts, but they're chaotic. She will take up somebody chaotic. And the thing is, she was chaotic inside of her own head. So she found somebody evenly yoked. She may not have murdered anybody. She may not have took anyone hostage, shot at the police, shot at other people, held people, like I said, against her will. But she was chaotic in her own mind. Thank you, Quiet. Thank you, CR. That's why it was easy for her to mesh with Casey White. And that's something you need to understand about this. She was running from her own self. She would have gotten in some mess irregardless. She would have gotten in some mess somewhere else with somebody else jacked up. Could have been somebody free, never been to jail, but they would have been jacked up, messed up, because how easy was it? And that's another thing about being around people all the time. Your work, church, school. It's easy to get involved with people that you see all the time, you talk to all the time, even in this type of situation here. Now, somebody would say, well, my goodness, but he's an inmate. They're inmates. You're supposed to know better. Yes, they are supposed to know better, but it doesn't matter. It happened, and it's been happening. This is not the first time staffers have engaged in entanglements with people who are incarcerated. We know this from women being incarcerated, getting pregnant, being assaulted by guards, being raped, willingly participating in sexual activities. Inmates coming on to the staffers. It can go both ways. Mutual. And it's not going to stop. It's one thing to have inmates engaging with each other. So you should know they were engaged with the opposite sex. Come on now. It's a sick world we're in. You have to check yourself with your feelings. Why do I like this person? Why am I attracted to this person? I know they're not doing what they're supposed to do. I know they've been doing some heinous things. Why am I desiring this person? Why am I physically attracted, emotionally attracted to this person? This is how you become hoodwinked in foolishness. Because as the sheriff said, people make mistakes, and we do. But see, the thing about making mistakes is you can go so far out on a limb, you can't come back. You're too far out there, and the limb's going to break, and there's no safety net. There's no point of return. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Monique. Thank you so much. And that's what happened with her. She's been falling. Has nothing to do with Casey White. He's just a camel, broke the, the straw that broke the camel's back. That's it. It's all, nothing new. She was tainted. And she would have done this with somebody else. So that's why I keep trying to make you all understand. He is just a random person, a random bloke. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing fantastic, nothing spectacular. She would have sought refuge in somebody else had it not been. You understand what I'm saying? If it wasn't Casey White, it'd have been Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba Smith. It's all the same. And that's what people need to understand about the story. The story's not about Casey. It's about Vicky White. The decision she made while being a jailer. She did not follow appropriate protocol. She's probably been doing it for some time. They gave her a pass. They didn't reprimand her. There's some things about her probably that will come out that shows that she was not the person she claimed to be or exuded to be. That people put her up on a pedestal, but yet others knew the real Vicky. And for anyone to say that they're not surprised that she would aid a jailer out the jail tells me that she had no business being a jailer. Because that's a very broad statement to make and a very detrimental statement to make about another human being. We are not surprised. So then that leaves one to say, well, then what the hell was she doing as a jailer? Why the hell didn't you all go say something about whatever the hell you thought she was doing? Her disposition. She's sneaky, she's dirty, she's dark. What was she doing? What was she not doing? And who else was riding the ride with her? Who else was sitting by idly watching the shit unfold and said nothing? Because as I said, you're not going to have inmates gossiping and the jailers not hear the gossip too. This was going to happen irregardless. It just happened to be she chose Casey White. But if Casey White never entered Lauderdale jail, it would have been another man. That's what you need to understand about the story. It would have been another inmate. Two people evenly yoked, different sides of the coin, different walks of life, but they crossed paths in a jail and became entangled. And it led them to be on the run for a little over a week. One apprehended and one now dead. And this will surely happen again if people don't get their emotions in check and value themselves. It will surely happen again. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all for the super chats and stickers. As you know, this is a ever-evolving story because the autopsy has to be released pertaining to the death of Vicky White. I'll bring you information pertaining to Casey getting back to Alabama, if he hasn't already, and any new developments pertaining to how it came to be that these two crossed paths, the intricate plot to go on the run, to then be apprehended, Vicky allegedly shooting herself and dying, and Casey back in custody. You're welcome, sweetheart. This is it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's sad. It's tragic. It's all the negative things wrapped in one. Because as I said, it will happen again. May not happen tomorrow, may not happen 5 years from now, but somebody will feel the same way as Vicky Might be a man, might be another woman, who knows? And it will happen again. That's the sad part of the story, that it will happen again. Somebody will turn a blind eye to what's going on in the jailing system. Somebody will not follow protocol. Somebody will aid. Somebody will lie, manipulate, fudge documents, however. And we will be right back here again talking about another crazy situation of a staff member aiding an inmate to some capacity. And people stood idly by and turned their heads. You all have a wonderful afternoon. God bless all of you. When I get more information pertaining to this story, I will bring it to you. Prayers for Miss Pat, Vicky's mom. This is an elderly person who didn't sign up for this. And I pray that she didn't have any knowledge of her daughter's escape, helping Mr. White escape. Prayers for her, because she's going to need them. This is a terrible place to be in, having to bury your child. You're an elderly person burying almost a 60-year-old woman because she made a foolish mistake. And she paid the piper by her own choosing. She chose to aid him, and she also chose to kill herself. Those were all her choices. And I believe she didn't want to live with them, returning back to Alabama. So that's why she took her own life. But she's selfish. She was a selfish human being. Because to do this to your own mother, it's just selfish, especially to be the age that she was, 56. Very selfish. And now her mother is left to grieve this selfish being. That's cruel. Prayers for Miss Pat. Prayers for the community down there in Florence. Prayers that they get their act together in that jail. Follow protocol. Jailers, speak up. Do what's right. Set an example. Be an example. Because that's the whole point, isn't it? Lead by example. And that's what was said in commentary on News Nation. She was an authority, but she did not lead by example. And even a subordinate should have said something, speak up, to say, hey, you're my boss, but what you're doing is not right. Thank you for joining me. It's Everyday Shenanigans.